A coworker spent months mocking my body behind my back, calling me fake, calling me plastic. She had no idea that underneath my shirt were scars from a surgery that saved me from becoming my mother's third victim of the same disease that killed her and both of my grandmothers. She thought she was making fun of my vanity. She was actually mocking the thing that kept me alive. I'm 28 now, but the story starts when I was 24. That was the year my mom died of breast cancer. She wasn't the first woman in my family to lose that fight. Both of my grandmothers died the same way, years apart, but from the same disease. By the time my mom was diagnosed, we already knew what the ending might look like. We just didn't know how fast it would come. I watched her go from someone who used to run 5Ks on the weekend to someone who couldn't sit up in bed without help. I was 24 years old, and I buried my mother. A year later, I went in for genetic testing, mostly to put my own mind at ease. It didn't work out that way. The doctors found abnormal cells in my breast tissue. Not cancer yet, but cells that could become cancer, given enough time. The doctor sat me down and gave me two options. I could monitor the cells closely with regular scans and hope they never turned into something worse. Or I could get ahead of it entirely with a double mastectomy and remove the risk before it became a diagnosis. I thought about my mom. I thought about my grandmothers. I thought about how many women in my family had already run out of time. I chose surgery, a double mastectomy, at 25 years old. Nobody prepared me for what came after. I knew there'd be scars. Every doctor tells you that matter-of-factly, like it's a minor detail. What they don't tell you is what an inch-long, half-inch wide scar actually looks like on your own chest, every single day, in every mirror, in every changing room, in every intimate moment. I couldn't look at myself without feeling sick. I started avoiding mirrors entirely. I stopped leaving my apartment unless I absolutely had to. Some days I didn't shower because it meant looking down at my own body. My mental health completely fell apart. It took months before I finally admitted I needed help. I found a therapist, and we started with CBT, trying to untangle the difference between my body being damaged and my body having simply survived something. It helped, slowly, but it wasn't until my therapist suggested seeing a plastic surgeon about scar reduction that things really started to shift. The plastic surgeon looked at my scars and offered a different solution than I expected. Implants, he said, could cover the scar tissue almost entirely, restoring the shape I'd lost and hiding the marks that kept catching me off guard every time I got dressed. I'd been an F-cup before the mastectomy. I decided to go slightly smaller, a DD, enough to feel proportional again, enough to feel like myself. The surgery worked better than I imagined. For the first time in over a year, I could get dressed in the morning without flinching. I could shower without crying. I finally felt like I was living in my own body again instead of just surviving inside it. Life moved on. I went back to work full time. I started making plans again, trips, weekends, things I used to enjoy before all of this. A few months ago, I was at lunch with a close friend, planning a holiday together. She's known me since before the surgery, since before my mom passed even. She made a joke about my chest exploding on the plane from the altitude. I laughed because I knew exactly where it came from. Not cruelty, just familiarity, the kind of dark humor you develop with people who've actually been there with you. But a coworker overheard the joke from a nearby table. Her name is Jill. Jill didn't know anything about my mom, my grandmother's, the mastectomy, any of it. All she heard was boob job, and that was apparently all she needed. Within days, it felt like the whole office knew some version of the story, minus the actual truth. Jill started making comments whenever I was in earshot. "Fake in 2 ways," she said once, just loud enough for me to hear as I walked past her desk. "More plastic than Barbie," she said another time, to a group of coworkers who laughed along, not knowing there was anything to question. I asked her to stop. Not once, several times actually, in different ways, some direct, some as gentle as I could manage. She never did. If anything, it seemed to get worse the more it bothered me. Today started like any other day. A group of us were at lunch, including Jill, talking about nothing in particular. Bob, one of my co-workers, was venting about his daughter's boyfriend, saying the guy had nothing going for him. I told Bob he was being a little shallow. That's when Jill saw her opening. "Well, you know all about being shallow," she said, gesturing directly at my chest in front of the entire table. Everyone went quiet for a second, waiting to see what I'd do. Something in me just broke. Not in anger exactly, more like exhaustion, like I'd been holding something in for so long that it finally had nowhere else to go. "Do you know why I have these?" I said. The table went completely silent. I told her everything. I told her about my mom, about my grandmother's, about the abnormal cells, about the decision to get a double mastectomy before it turned into something worse. I told her about the scars I couldn't look at, the year I could barely leave my apartment, the therapist, the surgeon, the implants that let me finally feel like a person again instead of a patient. "So maybe next time you want to judge someone for having cosmetic surgery," I said, "you should ask them why they had it first." I picked up my tray and I walked out of the room without looking back. Word spread through the office within the hour. Later that afternoon, a coworker pulled me aside to talk. She said Jill was just joking, that I'd embarrassed her in front of everyone, that I was being oversensitive, maybe even a bit of a bitch about the whole thing. I told her that maybe Jill shouldn't have been a bitch to begin with. By the end of the day, the office had basically split down the middle. Half of them thought I'd overreacted, that I should have just let the jokes roll off my back like I always had. The other half thought Jill had it coming, after months of comments I never asked for. I keep replaying the moment in my head, not because I regret what I said, but because some part of me still isn't sure where the line is between defending yourself and embarrassing someone else in the process. So tell me, was I the asshole for how I handled it? Or was Jill the one who crossed the line months ago, the very first time she opened her mouth? Let me know what you think in the comments.